It's kayak semi-finals time. One single run will determine the 10 fastest boats who progress into the final. That final later on today. Very good weather conditions here. Barely a cloud in the sky and perfect conditions for racing. 23 gates have been set by our course designers, Nelly Tournain and Philip Grendish. 6 upstream gates, the rest are downstream gates. And myself, Andy Maddock, will bring you all the action. And I'm pleased to welcome course side Sofia Reynoso of the Mexican team alongside and a Tokyo Olympian from last year.
Yeah, super excited to be here again and watch the semi-finals.
So the women's kayak, the athletes sitting in the boat, a double-bladed paddle. And, well, here is our start list. The top 30 paddlers from the heats yesterday are racing in reverse order of that performance. And then just 10 places in the final later on. So some big names in this field, including the world and Olympic champion Ricarda Funk, who, of course, won the heats and will go off last in this semi-final. But the likes of Jessica Fox and then Elena Lilich of Germany. Some big names, Mallory Franklin of Great Britain, and great to see Karina Kundler back for Austria, who has been struggling a little bit with illness over the last few weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Great to watch her race again, and yeah, excited to see what this course can do here in Krakow.
So, Sophia, tell us, the Krakow course, how do you find the characteristics of it, particularly compared to Prague last weekend?
Yeah, I think it's a completely different style. It's a lot more physical, like the water moves like a bit slower, so you have to be paddling the whole time. It's good to watch, though. It has some good moves that you can use with the water, which is kind of what I think they're doing here in the semi-final course. Yes.
Well, great stuff, and we are underway with racing, and the first of our competitors for the People's Republic of China is Yahua Yan. The opportunity to set the time, and of course, if you're not familiar with the sport of canoe slalom, it's a simple time trial down the course. You have to negotiate the gates in number order in the fastest possible time, but stay off the poles. Any touch with your body, your boat or your paddle, and that's 2 seconds of penalties added to your time, and incorrect negotiation is a 50-second penalty. It's looking like a good start for the athlete from the People's Republic of China.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like she's having a really good run. I think this course is set for you to try to use as much the water as possible and keep the boat gliding, trying to make it less physical, even though you have to be paddling the whole time. It looks like she's been able to use all the holes to her advantage, which it's fun to watch.
It is indeed. She was 31st last weekend in Prague, so didn't progress out of the heats. So already a progression forward by making it through into the semi-final. This second World Cup of the season is, well, we have 5 across the season. We have another race in Tartan, Slovenia next weekend. Then a bit of a gap for the World Championships, and then we go into World Cup 4 in Pau in south of France, and the World Cup final in the Spanish Pyrenees. And of course, double points up for grabs to crown the World Cup overall winner. But 103.33, a clean run for Yahua Yan of the People's Republic of China, as we now watch Eva Alina Hocevar of Slovenia, just 20 years old, a 2-time Junior World Championship medalist, 2018 and 19, and consistently performing in or around that final level.
Yeah, no, it's great to watch her paddle. She's young and already up in the World Cups, having good results, which is always nice.
So already slightly up, 0.66 the advantage on the early split, but a little bit lower than she would have liked into the upstream gate 11.
Yeah, you gotta use that curler to take you to the gate, and if you lose a little bit your edge, I think you drop down below the red gate. So it's a tricky move. You got to use the water very well.
So how do the athletes, do you think, pace this course? Because you could say the most technical part of the course is potentially at the bottom of the course.
Yeah. I think the bottom has quite a hard offset gates, and definitely you're tired at that point, and the water moves pretty slow there. You have to be like paddling the whole time, but I think it's a little bit tricky the whole way. Like, it has specific moves everywhere. It's quite symmetric, and I think it's both like physical, but if you don't use the water in some of those holes, I think it would be pretty hard to catch up even at the end.
That was good insight there as Eva Alina Hodchevar goes into first place. That includes a 2-second penalty, so 1:02.76 the time to beat, but very, very clear that it will be under 100 seconds that will be needed to qualify through into the 10-boat final. As Ria Sriba of the United States of America, just 19 years old, sets her semi-final underway.
Yeah, I'm really happy to watch Ria make the semi-final. She's a fierce paddler. She can do really good things. She's young, and I think it's exciting. She's paddling well, and I think she can do big things here.
Missed out on the semi-final last weekend in Prague, but made it through and is up on the early split by just over half a second and tight. That's a good run into the upstream gate 11. So this section here, it's quite flat, isn't it? And really physical, this open section between gate 13 and the upstream gate 14.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of just like a sprint that you have in the middle of the course, which is good. And this move also, it's hard. You got to go out of the up gate pretty far, and then you have to make sure you move that hole because it's pretty far right, that gate.
Yes, it's easy on some of these courses where you think it's really physical to ignore the fact you've still got to be really working, looking for the opportunity where the water can help you and not hinder you.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's easy to want to just go hard, and then if you are not using the water, I think it becomes 100 times harder. So it's super important that you're using that water to your advantage.
Well, the advantage was 3.27 seconds, but a touch on the final upstream gate, gate 22, but it is still good enough for the race lead. 1:02.16 for Ria Sriba of the United States of America. 30 boats racing for just 10 places in this women's kayak final as Laia Sorribes of Spain sets off from the start. Well, Laia has picked up a medal at the Junior Worlds on this course, I think way back in 2016. But certainly will have good memories of the course as she sets off on this semi-final run.
And she had a really good offsets there. She kept her speed really well on that first one. I think if you are able to do that, the rest go easier.
Well, she's pretty much level on the split if you take into account that 2-second penalty on the upstream gate 8. So now the opportunity to really get the power down. She looks like a very physical, attacking paddler.
Yeah, definitely. I could agree. She's attacking and but really good, like keeping her body forward. And this is a tricky part. You gotta go all the way there and then turn the boat completely to get all the way on the other side to prepare the move here using the hole. You kind of want to use that wave and hold to your advantage. It's easy to lose your bow downstream there.
Well, we get a great angle as well. It's quite a big hole, that 16-17 move.
Yeah, definitely. They make it look like it's nothing, but no, definitely it's a big hole.
So now coming down into the final upstream gate. 6 upstream gates on this 23-gate course, and no problems there for Laia Sorribes of Spain. Now digging deep and looking to cross the line. 100.97, the new race lead by over a second. And of course that includes a 2-second penalty. So as expected, the time's starting to come down in this women's kayak semi-final.
Yeah.
Next up, the very experienced Carol Bouzidi of Algeria, former European champion and a World Cup medal winner. So very experienced, but now racing for Algeria. Used to be racing for France and made it through into the semi-final last weekend where she finished 21st.
Yeah, I think she's definitely looking for a final today, and she's totally capable of it, so we'll see if she can pull it off. I think she has a very good style, like a very unique, well, French style, I could say. Flat boat, her body always forward. It makes it look like she's always in the middle of the gates. So it's a really good paddler to watch and learn from.
You're right, it's a very graceful style, isn't it? The French style, and very effective.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So 0.1 down on the first split and lost a little bit of time on that move 10 to 11. There's quite a little bit in there. If you get over rotation, you can slip away and just lose contact with the upstream gate. So we'll get an indication shortly as to how she compares to our race leader, Ria Sribar of the United States, because Laia Sorribes of Spain has picked up a 50-second penalty somewhere. And so she was provisionally into the race lead, but is now down in 4th place. Nicely in and out of the upstream gate, the final upstream gate on this 23-gate course. And now it is Carol Bouzidi of Algeria going through into 4th place. 4 seconds of penalties, and that won't be what she was hoping for today.
Yeah, no, I think she had a couple mistakes there.
So next on course, Ida Novak of Slovenia. Really attacking paddler, and well, we surely could expect her to go under 100 seconds in this semi-final.
For sure, we could. Yesterday she told me she thought the water moved backwards in this course, and I thought that was the greatest thing anyone's ever said. Very true. It feels that way when you're paddling it. So I think she knows that, and she's pushing hard. So I think she can have a really good run and a really fast one.
Oh, super move, 10 to 11, really working with the water, already with the advantage before that. She surely will have extended it as she comes through the downstream gate 13, and this is where you were saying it just feels really sticky.
Yeah, definitely. So I think she's pushing, and it looks looks good.
And how deep is the course? My memories of it was the previous incarnation of this course was that it was really shallow.
Yeah, I don't think it's very shallow anymore. At least it doesn't feel that way for me. Not like other courses. I think for me, Seu feels more shallow, but I don't know. That might just be personal feeling, because Seu is more narrow. But
yes, and of
very
course,
nice through these offsets. She made them look very easy.
This is a really good run coming together for Ida Novak of Slovenia. She's up. She's extended that advantage on the second split. It's going to be well under 100 seconds, and she stops the clock 98.68 to take the race lead by nearly 3.5 seconds. So now it'll just be a long wait to see whether that's enough for the final.
Yeah, definitely. There's many girls in there, but that was a good run and a good time put down, so we will see.
Well, we'll get an indication shortly, because on course now, Stephanie Horn of Italy, who had to go down twice in the heats to get through, picked up a penalty on the first run of the heats, had to go through on the second run. But having someone of Stephanie's caliber will give a bit of an indication of the kind of time for someone like Ida to see whether she stands a chance of a place in the final.
Yeah, I could agree.
Stephanie, of course, won the European Championships 3 weeks or so ago in Liptovsky Mikuláš, and very much no stranger to making finals. And, well, she's down on race leader Novak of Slovenia.
Yeah, she used that hole really well, that curler. She's a very strong paddler. She can push a lot. So we'll see this section where you just have to kind of sprint. You can make some time, but also want to make sure you enter this up gate well, and this exit is long, as I've said before.
So Stephanie was in the final last weekend. She finished 8th in Prague. So she'll be looking to back that up with a final on the back of this run. And we'll get an indication as she exits gate 17. 2.5 seconds down. So, well, we'll have to wait and see whether that's Stephanie's run not being quite as fluid as we would normally expect, or whether that suggests the pace of Ida Novak's run, our current race leader. A 2-second penalty at the bottom there is going to be expensive. Stephanie Horn of Italy only goes into 3rd place, 1:02.29, and that's a big surprise. And I'm not sure that'll be enough for the final.
Yeah, no, we will see. I think she was a bit low in that last stop. That cost her a bit of time. So
on course now, Sona Stanovska of Slovakia coming down into this first sequence of gates in and out of the upstream gate 3. Sona, another paddler who paddles in the kayak and the canoe category. Just down in the eddy. These eddies are really quite stationary. How hard is it to re-accelerate the boat when you're doing those downs in the eddy?
I think it's pretty hard if you lose all your speed. That's why I think in those gates specifically it's important to have a good approach and prepare the gates pretty well. So in that downstream you are able to keep your speed going to the next gate, so that you don't lose all your energy there.
Well, it looks like in touch with the split. 0.79 down at the bottom for Stanovska of Slovakia. But this is where we'll get a better indication as to how good the middle section is. And, well, how much training, how the physical training over the winter period and coming in towards the peak of the season. And, well, she's maintained 0.74 now, closed the deficit slightly. And we would expect, in terms of the World Championships being just over a month away in Augsburg in Germany, we'd expect people to be pretty much starting to come into peak. Is that how you're preparing for the World Championships?
Yeah, I think definitely everyone has a different approach depending their goals. For me, it's important to gather more experience and to get to progress, to be able to do a really good run in my level, and that's definitely different for everybody. But
so Noemi Fox of Australia gets underway. The younger sister of Jessica Fox, who will go off later on in this semi-final, of course, who's the World Cup champion for the last 3 years consecutively. So the lead still held by Ida Novak of Slovenia, ahead of Sona Stanovska of Slovakia, Ria Schreiber of the United States of America. And, well, Noemi looks like she's got in a little bit sharp on the upstream gate 8 and picked up a 2-second penalty to go alongside the touch on gate 5. Nicely through on the exit of 11. 32nd last weekend in Prague. But she will be, probably, she'll have some good memories here. She was 5th here at the Under-23 World Championships on this course.
Yeah, no, I think for sure. She's looking like a solid run. She has picked up those 2 touches, which I think will cost her some time. But I think her lines have looked really good. This move it's pretty hard to keep your bow upstream and get into that gate high. And they've all done it really well, so it's cool to watch that.
Well, 5.63 the deficit, but that's mainly down to the 2 touches, 4 seconds of penalties. Other than that, Noemi's on a sub-100 kind of pace. Just stretching a little bit into the upstream 22, but 1 gate to go. And Noemi Fox is going to be outside of where she wants to be, 1:03.59, but you can see the pace that she's got. Just needs to tidy that up as she goes towards the World Championships in the next few weeks. Ida Novak for Slovenia, still our race leader. Now Victoria Us of Ukraine sets off on her semi-final run. 13th last weekend in Prague. She's a three-time Olympian. She was 8th in Tokyo last year, and she has got 2 World Cup medals to her name. So it's certainly, I would say, Victoria would be probably favoured towards getting into the final today, because she's a very physical, very strong paddler.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's what she wants, and I think definitely she's got everything for it. So we'll see if she can put down a clean run and do what she knows how to do.
So 0.9 down on the first split. There was a review going on one of the gates further up. The video judges, of course, reviewing the penalties as they go down. But for Victoria, it's good news because there are no penalties showing on the screen.
Yeah, that was quite tight, that upstream, but she managed to do it really well. I think she's still up. We come to this move that it's important to really use the water there, which she did.
Done very nicely there. Now she's got to re-accelerate. And there's these waves down the bottom here, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And very easy if you get out of sequence with the waves to pick up a penalty with the bow or your tail of your boat.
Yeah, then you're out. You gotta really prepare those offsets in order to be in advance and be able to keep your bow downstream and glide in the boat.
Well, into second place for Victoria Us of Ukraine, 99.69. A solid, clean run. And Ida Novak of Slovenia leading as we're 1/3 of the way through this women's kayak semi-final. We're live here in Krakow in Poland. And well, here is a medalist from last weekend, Camille Prigent of France, 24-year-old. She was 3rd last weekend in Prague. So she'll be looking to qualify through into the final again and then go for the podium later on. You can watch that live here at Planet Canoe, 12 o'clock Central European time.
Yeah, she had a really good upstream. I think she gained some time. She gained some time there. Well, the opposite.
So Camille is a consistent paddler, and she is up by over half a second as she comes into the upstream gate 11. Super tight there. It'll be interesting because there's a fine line, isn't there, between, particularly on a physical course like this, between not giving yourself enough space around the poles.
Yeah, for sure. Being too tight, and then that would cost you the next gate probably, or a 50. But she's managing to do them tight and really well. So she's putting down a really fast run, using this hole again. Super well.
Well, in and out of the upstream gate 17. She looks like she's on a mission here, and she's extended the advantage. 0.60 now the advantage as she goes for the pushback through 19 to 20. And it's a different way of doing it. There's lots of different combinations. Our course designers have helped to just make the athletes think. But here we have it. 98.68 is the current race lead time. It's surely going to be inside that. 96.96. And Camille Prigent of France takes the lead. That was a great run, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a really good run. I think she, a clean run, and in the middle of the gates, she was tight on the ups. She made it look easy for sure.
Well, the first of our Polish paddlers on home water here, Natalia Pasiepnik, now very experienced paddler, 33 years old, 2-time Olympian. Her best result, 7th in the London Olympic Games, 6th last year at the European Championships. And she was 2nd in the World Cup last year in Prague, so still very capable of making it into the final and competing for the podium.
Yes, for sure. And this being her home course, I think can give her some advantage on there. So we will see if she can use that. sometimes it can give you advantage or it can make you more nervous, I assume. I don't really have a home course, so it's hard to say. But I assume you can have all the intels for the course.
So where do you call home in terms of training?
Mostly Potomac, Maryland. I train there with the PWRC club, and it's been home for me for the past 3-4 years.
Well, there's a real emerging group of young paddlers coming out of North America, and I guess it's good. I think in canoe slalom, you need a group around you, don't you, to kind of get at that bit of competitive but friendly rivalry.
Exactly. It definitely has made the difference to be training with friends, and it's cool to have that, because training by yourself all the time, it's quite hard, especially having a coach makes a huge difference.
Yes. Well, let's watch Natalia crosses the line, 100.31 into 5th place. And, well, just highlighting just how strong Camille Prigent was at the bottom of the course. There's Jessica Fox of Australia, just updating her social media before she gets underway in her semi-final. She will be off in, well, quite a few minutes to come. And how much do you think the athletes will be watching the early runners as they finalise their plans on this course?
Yeah, probably quite a bit, but I think they have a plan set. We have Martina here.
Martina Wegman of the Netherlands, who's just seems to be getting better and better.
Yeah, I think she's great. She's such a strong paddler. I think she takes racing really well. She's always happy. She did miss this curler move a little bit.
Yeah, that's expensive on the clock, isn't it, for Martina? She was 7th in Tokyo, 4th at the European Championships earlier on this season. And for a country, the Netherlands, that's not renowned for its white water, it's renowned for being flat, then Martina's really flying the flag for the country.
Yeah, for sure. I think she calls home New Zealand as well, so she has that beautiful country to paddle all the white water. And
5.5 seconds, the deficit on the top, and now that's gone to 6.6. So Martina, those penalties are going to prove costly, I think, in terms of looking for a place in the final here in Krakow.
And though she flew on those offsets, I think she did them super well. So we'll see, because I think that was really fast at the end there.
So crosses the line, 102.88, and into 9th place for Martina Wegman of the Netherlands. Still, Camille Prigent leads for France, ahead of Ida Novak of Slovenia, Victoria Us of Ukraine in 3rd, as we approach the halfway point in this women's kayak semi-final here, live from Krakow in Poland. And on course now, Romane Prigent of France, 23-year-old under-23 World Championship medalist. And looking at last weekend, she was 17th in the semi-final. So very capable of just stepping up another notch and making it through into the final. And well, last weekend we saw all sorts happening in the final, and equally a lot of big names missing out on the final. Yeah.
This sport is, I think anything can happen, and it always surprises everyone.
Well, she's up on the early split, so challenging the race lead of Camille Prigent of France. France against France. And now into this upstream height on the middle part of the course. Now through gate 15.
I think she's looking really solid. She's kept the boat gliding the whole time, used the water really, really well, still pushed through, so I think it's a very good run. If she can do these offsets well, I think it's going to be a really fast run.
Well, it is. The advantage has been extended, 0.64, but she's cutting the lines down the bottom here. And a 2-second penalty confirmed on gate 20. Super tight on 22.
Oh, yeah.
But that will just blemish what is a really exceptionally fast run. Coming down outside the race lead time into 2nd place provisionally. There is a review going on. 98.46, and Romain Prigent is confirmed into second place. Well, here is another big name, Eva Tersel of Slovenia, the 30-year-old world champion of 2019, who, well, she had a disaster last weekend, didn't progress out of the heats in Prague at the first World Cup of the season. Now in the semi-finals and be looking to get her season right back on track and make it through into the final here in Krakow.
Really good upstream. She goes out wide.
It's very fluid there, but a little bit tight on 9, and a penalty now confirmed. Just having to work that a little bit harder from 10 to 11. So still some work to do for Tersel of Slovenia on the bottom half of the course.
Yeah, she's got to pick up some time with that touch, but it looks like she's having a good run there. We'll see this whole part.
Yeah, she's definitely flowing well. She's cutting the lines, she's attacking the course. 2.24, so she is on the pace, but that 2-second penalty could be decisive. And nicely through the tricky offset sequence. Now into the final upstream. She's got to be tight. Not as tight as she needed to be. And now the world champion of 2019 is fighting for a place in the women's kayak final and into 5th place.
Still reviewing one gate there.
That's the upstream gate 17. So provisionally into 5th place. And Camille Prigent still leading for France ahead of Romain Prigent of France and Ida Novak of Slovenia at the halfway point in this women's kayak semi-final. Next up, Barbara Valikova of the Czech Republic is on course and super cutting the lines.
Yeah, that's definitely cutting the lines. A bit risky, but if it works, it works. This is where it's important to keep your speed. I think she cut it a little bit too much, but it still worked out, so it's good.
She's a World Cup finalist. She's an under-23 world finalist. Last weekend, Barbara was 23rd in this semi-final, so didn't progress into the final, but in touch. 0.74 down on the first split. A little bit of work to do now to really get back into this run.
She kept her boat well there, because it's easy to lose your balance on that hole as you have to use it to surf across. It's easy to lose your edge and go downstream, and she was able to keep it together even though she lost it a little bit for a second there. So I think she's still having a fast run.
So we'll get an indication very shortly of where she stacks up on the second split as she comes into this upstream gate 17. In and out nicely. Now you've got to dig deep. This is where the lactic acid is building up, and 3.8 seconds down. That's quite a margin to make up, and that's just extended. A penalty there added on gate 19, and Barbara Valikova of the Czech Republic now on her back foot as she comes through the last gate.
Yeah, I think it's in those offsets you gotta be very prepared and a little bit cutting the line, but in the middle of the gates, and if you are a little bit too tight, it's easy to gain a penalty there.
So it's not to be today a final for Valikova of the Czech Republic, and it's still Camille Prigent leads for France, 96.96. Next up, Avi Liebfarth of the United States of America. Very explosive paddler. And again, another paddler who, from the junior and under-23 experience on this course, will be probably quite confident of delivering a strong result.
Yeah, I agree. I think she's confident. She's a very explosive paddler, as you said, and I think that's a good thing for this course. You really want to be attacking the whole time, and she's got that, so we can see she's fast in the clock.
Junior world champion last year, And a little bit low, though, having to work hard. 10 to 11, that will take away the advantage from the top section. But importantly, she is still clean as she comes down towards the halfway point on this 23-gate course. Nicely in and out of the upstream gate 14.
There. Very fast.
So now through 15, that's nice. Now this is the move, 16 to 17, where you have to drop in, use the hole. Looks like she's done that very well indeed.
Yes.
And, well, 1.2, most of that, I suspect, is lost from that 10 to 11 move.
Yeah. Oh, she lost her blade there, I think.
And 2 touches.
Yeah, it looks like she twisted her hand a little bit, like in the blade. I'm not sure if that's right, but...
So she went for the pushback move, which was the same as Camille Prigent, race leader, went for. But those penalties in particular, very expensive indeed, and only into 13th for Avi Liebfarth of the United States of America.
Yeah, that whole move up top, I think it's definitely key. It's easy to miss that curler, and if you're not high on that up, you lose a lot of time.
On course now, Victoria Wolfhardt of Austria sets off. Very experienced paddler, multiple medalist at junior and under 23 level, very experienced at senior level as well. 22nd last weekend, 11th in Tokyo last year. And again, you'd expect her to take the challenge to make it through into the final, but we've seen the penalties are just so expensive.
Yeah, the penalties here are super expensive, but very nice move there on the hole. She arrived super well on that up.
So she is down a little bit on the top split, but she's in touch. That's important, and clean so far. She comes into the upstream gate 14. Now this next section, 15, 16, down in the eddy here through 15. Now she has to set up through 16 and ride the hole across into the upstream 17.
Yeah, you want to make sure you keep your boat flat on that hole so you don't drop down.
Well, she's in touch, 1.38 down over race leader Prigent of France, but this is where penalties have been picked up, and a penalty there on gate 20, the slightest of touches, but 2 seconds of penalty going on to the time. And Victoria Wolfhardt of Austria is now going to be finishing outside the 100 seconds and into 7th place. So there is a review going on the upstream gate 8 as well, but at the moment just a penalty showing on the downstream gate 20. Prigent leads ahead of Prigent, and Novak in 3rd place as we start to get close to confirming who will be our 10 finalists. But Ana Chatila of Brazil, again a very strong paddler who you'd expect to be very well. Surely, I don't want to preempt this, but I would put her as a banker for the final.
Definitely, me too. I hope she definitely makes it. She's a strong paddler, and she's got that fire in her. She's a risky paddler. She goes all out, super explosive, and it's great to watch her paddle. It's always amazing. She had a really good up there. Yeah, she's having a good run. She's definitely fighting. We will see this last part with the offsets, how she goes. Oh, very good there with that hole. She used it super fast.
She's out on an outstanding run here, in touch still. This is the critical part of the course though, isn't it?
Yes. I think Anna's really good in offset, so she made it really well. A bit almost risky there on the last one, but she made it, so I think it's going to be fast. We'll see.
Well, Anna Shatila will stop the clock just outside the race lead into second place, and well, I bet her heart missed a beat on that downstream gate 21. Yeah. But well, surely that will be good enough. There is an asterisk against her name. That'll just be a routine video review, probably because of just how tight she was at the bottom. But Camille Prigent still leading ahead of Anna Shatila and Romain Prigent, as Emma Vuitton of France now sets off.
I think Emma will now watch someone a bit more in the middle of the gates, less risky, but using the glide of the boat, I'm like super correct and going super fast down the course. So it's a different style to watch, but also very good one. So it's cool to watch them go right after each other, I think.
We're now coming down through gate 10, 1.39 the deficit on the top section there. So you can't afford to let that get much bigger, can you?
No, no, no. That was a really good upstream, I think.
Well, Emma was a very strong position last weekend, 18th in Prague. She's a two-time junior medalist last season, Junior World Championships and European Championships, picked up medals. So very much a name to watch, and there's going to be super competition for a place in the French Olympic team on their home course in 2024 in Paris. Well, 1.77 has stabilized the deficit, so Emma Vuitton of France is very much looking in control, and that's super.
Yeah, very good. She's actually my first training partner in France, and she might have been the nicest person to show me slalom in France. She was great.
Well, into third place and in with a fighting chance of a place in the final.
Yeah.
But, we are now into the point where we have 20 boats down, 10 boats still to go in this women's kayak semi-final. And we will be able to confirm who is into the final very shortly as well. Here is Karina Kühnle of Austria, the 34-year-old European champion from last year. She's a double world champion. Wasn't able to compete last weekend in Prague due to illness, and has had struggles with long COVID over the last few months. And let's hope we see Karina back to her best.
She's also a very strong paddler, so I think this course can be good for her if she's also able to use the water, which she has been. She's great.
She looks very smooth, doesn't she? She is a very powerful paddler, and she has the advantage on the top part of the course. Now, coming down into the middle part, this is where as well her strength will really come into its own. This gap between gate 13 and 14 whips the boat round. Now jumps through gate 15. Now 16 to 17. A little bit sticky, doesn't quite get the kick that she might like, but and now you can just see having to just force the boat round a little bit. And the 1.6 now a deficit. Kühnle of Austria is up against it at the bottom. Is that 2 touches on those downstream gates? It is 19 and 20, and the double world champion for Austria is in trouble.
Yeah, it looked like she kind of waited there on that first offset, and it cost her that touch.
And into 15th place, 102.97 seconds. Karina Kühnle of Austria is missing out on the final, but that's good news for Camille Prigent of France, our current race leader. Well done, Camille. You are in the final. Here is one of the big stories, the name of the first World Cup of the season, Teresa Fisarova of the Czech Republic. She was 5th in this women's kayak event, and then she went on to take gold in the women's canoe and gold in the extreme kayak. So she really was on fire last weekend. Can she repeat that?
Yeah, definitely on fire. So we will see if she can keep it going, I think.
She also picked up some stitches just above her eye that she was hoping not to get in that extreme kayak competition, which we will have running here as well. You'll be able to follow that live here at Planet Canoe, 4:30 Central European Time tomorrow. She has picked up a touch on the first upstream gate 3.
Yes.
But she was able to absorb some of that just from her pace. So I would certainly be favouring that she will make it through into the final. She's really attacking. She's leaving nothing out there.
Yeah, she's going all out. It's what you gotta do to get top 10 to go into this final. So many good paddlers, so many good names out there. It's hard to make it, so.
And critically for her, she's clean through that tricky offset sequence and super tight in 22. So are we looking at a new race lead here? It's going to be tight.
It's going to be tight.
Pisarova stops the clock in second place, 97.42. And, well, there is still an asterisk on that, but for now, that is good enough for the final. Well done, Teresa. So Camille Prigent leading the way for France ahead of Teresa Fisarova of the Czech Republic and Anna Chatila of Brazil. As on course now, Kimberly Woods of Great Britain, bronze medalist from the World Championships last year in Bratislava in this event. She just missed out on the final last weekend in Prague. She was 12th. 10th in the Olympic final in Tokyo last year.
Yeah, she's also a very powerful paddler, very strong.
She's in touch, 0.21 down on the split. And the more I see the athletes coming down, it's well, I make it sound easy here, but it's clean is absolutely the critical thing, isn't it? You can do all the hard work at the top, but one penalty and you can really put yourself at a significant disadvantage.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's definitely a tight course. Everyone's doing a good job, so a touch can cost you the whole run.
So Kimberly Woods now coming down through 16. This is where you've got to work with the water and very composed indeed.
Good, yeah.
There's a review on the upstream gate 14. I think that's because she was very tight indeed. Just to check, the whole head is through the gate. And is that a penalty? It is on gate 18, the downstream gate for Kimberly Woods of Great Britain.
Yeah.
Tight into 22. Woods now comes down through the last gate. She'll be under 100 seconds, just, and a 100.07, just outside, into 8th place provisionally, and there are reviews going on. So I guess a bit of a long wait there for Woods of Great Britain, but that does mean that Anna Chatila of Brazil joins Camille Prigent and Teresa Fisarova as a confirmed finalist. As we now watch Klaudia Swolinska for Poland, under-23 European champion from last season, and well, a World Cup winner. You can expect her to be putting a strong performance down this course.
Definitely, I think so. She knows the course and she's really strong, so I think she's definitely in for big things today.
1.64 seconds up on the top. Well, this is very much an exhibition on the top.
Yeah,
Can
she
hold
glides
it together?
perfectly, yeah.
So, you know, there is always going to be an element of local knowledge on a home course.
For sure, you can definitely see that with her. She's putting on a really good run.
Very controlled there on 14. She takes the tight line, but she doesn't take any unnecessary risks. And now coming through gate 16, be interesting to see what the local line is there. And we'll get an indication very soon as to where she compares to our race leader, Prigent of France, on the second split, and she has extended the advantage. We're looking at our virtual race leader, but now safely through the offset sequence at the bottom into the final upstream gate. And Klaudia Smolinska of Poland surely is going to book a place in this women's kayak final.
Yeah.
Wow, 94.42 into the race lead. Well, that was a great run, wasn't it?
That was a great run. Great to watch her. She's always, I like watching her. She's always very composed and really strong. It's really cool what she can do in the water and the way she can move the boat around. It's really cool to watch.
Well, we are now getting into the sharp end of racing, and there is our race leader, Klaudia Smolinska of Poland. The top three, then Camille Pigeon in second place for France, Teresa Fisarova of the Czech Republic, and there is a gap in the proceedings, and that is because breaking news, and sadly, the German team have had to withdraw from the event because of an outbreak of COVID. So sadly, it is, we will not have any German paddlers competing in this competition, and therefore we won't be seeing in this women's kayak semi-final lineup, we won't be seeing Elena Lilik and Ricarda Funk, both World Championship medalists, and of course Ricarda Funk, the Olympic champion. Unfortunately, one confirmed case yesterday, and obviously something's happened overnight, and I guess to make sure, keep everyone safe, then that is the outcome. Well, and we hope that the German team managed to control that, and we hope to see them back racing and you know, and well soon. Yeah,
that's definitely a bummer. I hope they're doing okay, not too sick. That's the first thing, but yeah, that's really sad not to see those two very good paddlers on course today. We'll be sad to miss them. It'll open up the field a little bit for sure.
It will do, because Ricarda Funk was the fastest in the heats, and you would have again suggested she would be a favourite to win here.
For sure, I think so. So definitely a bummer for today's final. Let's hope they're doing okay. They can control it fast. COVID definitely serious, not the greatest thing to have. It can be chill, but important to keep safe.
So that does mean that Emma Vuitton of France is now qualified into the final, as we watch Monica Doria Villarouble of Andorra set off on her semi-final charge. 2021 Olympian in Tokyo and very capable contender. Monica Doria was 15th last weekend, so just missed out on the final. She's looking very, very controlled and composed on here, getting the lines, but an early touch on gate 3. 4.19 seconds down at the top of the course. There's a lot to make up. Of course, though, that was based on Smolinska's time, who was significantly quicker than second place.
Yes. She was definitely really fast. I like how Monica always, her strokes are very in the front. She's always stretching out. It makes her look really good, like really smooth always in the water. So it's really nice to watch her as well.
So Monica Doria now coming down through gate 16. Klaudia Smolinska leading for Poland. So the Polish know they've got a finalist. Camille Pigeon in second place. Teresa Fisarova of the Czech Republic in third. They are also into the final.
Oh, she does a very good job here on these offsets. Very smooth. So we're coming here to the final part. I think it's going to be a good time. We'll see.
Is that a penalty on the last gate? It is confirmed. And Monica Doria Villarouble, 101.17, but outside the final as a result of those penalties. And what that does mean is France have 3 boats in this women's kayak final, because Romain Pigeon now joins Emma Vuitton and Camille Pigeon in the final. 4 boats still to go.
3 French boats. That's many boats on the final. That's great. Good for the French team. That's awesome.
Mallory Franklin of Great Britain now on course, and already a penalty on the downstream gate 2. European Championship medalist just a few weeks ago. Now coming through gate 7 into the upstream gate 8. Another very smooth paddler. She was fourth last weekend, so she made the final in Prague.
Yeah.
But a little bit low there, just drops off the back, 10 to 11. No big drama, but look at that, 5.69 down on the split. So Franklin of Great Britain will have to really keep it clean and fast on this bottom section. Remember, the athletes, they start from zero again in the final, so it is all about just making it through, and then you can go again. Clean the slate, and off you go again. Bit of over-rotation there for Franklin between 16 and 17. And 6.7 down. That is based on Svalinska's time, which was significantly quicker than others. But that is, oh, and that touch, surely Franklin of Great Britain is not going to make it through into the final.
No, she was a bit tight on those poles, getting some touches, and she had a bit of a hard time in the holes. I think she dropped a little bit on most of them, which cost her time.
Down in 22nd place, so that's a big surprise. Franklin of Great Britain won't progress through into the final, but it is good news for Ida Novak of Slovenia, who's had to wait a long, long time to see if she's done enough. Well done, Ida, you are in the final. Now, Jessica Fox of Australia is on course, the reigning World Cup champion. She's a two-time, three-time Olympic medalist in this event. She's the Olympic champion in the women's canoe as well. And now she was the winner of the Prague event last weekend on her birthday.
Yeah.
She had quite a contrasting weekend last weekend, winning on Saturday, and things didn't go quite to plan on Sunday.
Oh, that was a very good. She used the water really well there. I think they make the course look easy because they know how to use the water well, but like using those holes to your advantage can be very, very tricky. And I think all these girls in the semi-final have managed to do a very good job.
Well, Jessica Fox is down on the first split, but I think she may have made a bit of time up. And certainly the job here is to get through into the final. And Jessica Fox very much on track for that. Not as tight as she might have liked on the upstream gate 17, but she has closed the deficit slightly, and she is on track for a top 3 finish in this women's kayak semi-final, and that will be enough to progress into the final.
Very good on the offsets there, in the middle of the gate, and always her style. It's a pleasure to watch.
Well, Jessica Fox stops the clock in second place. 94.42 was what she was chasing. 95.11 was the time she stopped the clock on. And well done, Jessica. You are in the final. So with the German team having had to withdraw from the competition, Amalie Hilgertova is the last of our competitors to start in this women's kayak semi-final for the Czech Republic. And, well, she was second fastest in the heats, and she's looking effortless, but very quick.
Yeah. I had to watch her run yesterday a couple times because I couldn't understand how she could make it look so effortless. She has a very unique style. It looks like she's just cruising down the course when she's just really gliding and going really fast. So she's always safe and in the middle of the gates, but still pushing through and using the water like really, really well. So it's really cool to see that.
So 1.7 down on the first split. So that's very much in touch with a place in the final. She's an under-23 world champion, won on this course, so she knows she can go quick on this course.
Yeah.
And the critical thing, we've seen so many people just get eliminated at this stage through just the odd little touch, and it's so important to keep it clean. In fact, of the top 9 at the moment, only 2 have a penalty. They only have 1 penalty. The rest are clean. So 1.68. Amalie Hilgertova has closed the gap slightly.
Yeah.
and very much on track for a top 3 finish here in this women's kayak semi-final. We're live from Krakow in Poland, and we'll be up next with the men's kayak semi-finals. But Amelie Hilgertova of the Czech Republic now goes into 3rd place. Well done, Amelie, you are into the final. So great performance there, and that concludes this women's kayak semi-final. Klaudia Zwolinska dominant for Poland. Definitely one to watch. She'll go off last in the final.
Of course. Yeah, it looks like a really good final. Everyone in there is strong. France got 3 boats, which is cool to watch. And Ukraine also in there. That's really good.
So the lineup will be, well, here it is. Klaudia Zwolinska go off last in the final. They go in reverse order of the semi-final performance. We have Fox, Hilgertova, Prigent, Fischerova, Satila, Vuitton, Prigent, Novak, and Oos. Here are the people missing out. Some big names there, the likes of Ava Tersel, the world champion of 2019, Kimberly Woods, Stephanie Horn, Mallory Franklin, and of course Elena Lilik and Ricarda Funk of Germany, who you would have favoured to be challenged for the podium.
Yeah, for sure.
Not able to compete. The German team having to withdraw from the event due to COVID.
Yeah, really a bummer.
So welcome back to the action here in Krakow in Poland. And well, we've just determined who will make it through into the women's kayak final. That's on at 12 o'clock Central European time here at Planet Canoe. You can follow it. And we're now into the men's kayak semi-final. 40 boats racing in this men's kayak semi-final for just 10 places in the final. Here's the start lineup. The start order is the reverse order of the performance in the heats that were yesterday. And we've got big names racing here, including the world champion from last year, Boris Novo. We've got the Olympic champion, Yuri Priskovich of the Czech Republic. A big lineup. And myself, Andy Maddock, and now I'm pleased to welcome into the booth Eric Holmer of the Sweden team, and of course Tokyo Olympic finalist. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Should be fun to watch this.
So here is the lineup. Giovanni De Gennaro of Italy will go off last in this semi-final. He was the fastest in the heats, and there's some big names here to watch. A couple of the bigger names had to go twice in the heats yesterday just to make it through. Joe Clark was one of those, the Olympic champion from Rio 2016. And of course, Lucien Delfour of Australia, who you would never rule out on a course like this.
Definitely. He has been in finals here before, and I think he would be one of the guys trying to get into the final today.
So we've just watched the women's kayak semi-final, and we saw just how important it was to stay off the poles. I know that sounds pretty obvious, doesn't it? That you know, the penalties were always going to be expensive, but on this course, in my opinion, it's critical to go clean. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we saw a lot of touches, and it's quite. It's always tight times in Krakow, so yeah, it will be crucial to stay clean, definitely.
Well. And just looking at the course designer there who's set this challenge, and very physical course anyway, regardless of how you set the gates, and probably the most technical part at the bottom of the course. So what was your experience in the heats?
It's definitely physical. They've had some different configurations with rapid blocks here to trying out what works well, and the configuration we got now is really physical. The water is quite slow, you have to push a lot, so yeah, we saw in the women's category that the arms were definitely burning at the bottom.
So how does that impact pacing? You know, does that change your approach, particularly in this men's kayak category, or is it just all out and hang on until the end?
Yeah, I guess we'll see soon enough after watching a few, but here in Krakow, with the water being quite slow, I think you still, if you want to make it into that final, you still have to go for it. Maybe with a few exceptions of Canoe-Kayak and names alike.
So, well, Eric says basically it's going to have to hurt if you're going to make it through to the final.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get underway very shortly. And still, same course, 23 gates. And of course, 40 boats now racing for just 10 places in the men's kayak final. So one thing's for sure is it's going to be very, very tight. The margins will be very small as we get underway. Tyler Westfall of the United States, our first competitor.
He did very well yesterday. I believe this is his first semi-final on senior level. So let's see how he's the first one to go. So everything to win, nothing to lose.
That's a good way of looking at it. He was 65th in Prague last weekend, and I think you're right in terms of progress, in terms of his own personal journey. And sometimes when people are racing without any fear, nothing to lose, then that's where you really find some quick times.
Definitely, just having a free mind, and he looks fairly composed so far. I think he's on a good run here.
So we've seen the time of 94 seconds for the women's kayak. What sort of time do you think it's going to take to win this semi-final?
I'd say around mid-80s maybe. In the qualification we saw that the kayak men went approximately almost 10 seconds faster than the one woman category. So yeah, I would put my bet around there. He's keeping it clean so far. It's not always an easy transaction to do your first semi-finals, but he's doing a good job here.
He is indeed, and he's certainly not going cautious here, is he? He's really attacking at the bottom. He's got a clean run.
Definitely, and the time looks, yeah.
There is a review on gate 14, but no penalty given at the moment. 89.33. And, wow, that's great to see, because he has done a good run there, and great to see him celebrating that.
Definitely, good with some emotions. He should be happy with that.
So Tyler Westfall sets the pace that everybody else has to chase. 89.33. Clean run, just a review still going on gate 14, but no penalty showing at the moment. So next up for Sweden, Isaac Öhrström.
Yeah, my compatriot. We had some selection races here in Krakow in the spring, and he was very fast on this course. I think he could put down a really good fast run here.
He's a World Cup winner in Tarzan in 2020. 20th last weekend in Prague, so didn't make it through into the final.
Yeah, he was fast though, but he had some touches at the bottom pushing him down. So I think he looks fairly composed. I think Isak is very fit. He'll definitely have a lot left in the tank at the bottom, I think. We'll see how it evolves.
Well, he makes it look easy at the top, but he's absolutely hammering it down. A lot of people taking a lot of time out of 14 and being as tight as they can.
Definitely.
So 0.25, the deficit at the top of the course. And then very shortly, we'll get an indication of where it compares. And look at that, the advantage now has turned 1.27 up on the split time. And Isak Öhrström now going very nicely into the final upstream gate 22 and super tight.
Definitely. And a good line to the finish. Yeah, this would be
88.17. It's a good time, and it is good enough for the race lead, but there's a lot of boats still to go. And, well, how does it feel? You've been in this position. How does it feel having to wait and wait to see if you've done enough for the final?
Yeah, it's obviously very tempting to just stick around and watch how the others are doing rather than what you should do. You should just do your cool down and focus on getting you ready to potentially race the final. It's, yeah, a lot of question marks when you go so early. How fast was that actually?
Well, on course now, Kazuya Adachi of Japan coming out of the upstream gate 3. Very experienced competitor and a World Cup medal winner.
Yeah, he had a really good season there. I think it was 2017 he made that medal and 2 finals back-to-back, I believe, in Augsburg and Magdeburg. He's one of those guys who sometimes just puts down blistering runs. We'll see how we get on today. It's a good top section, but here it drops a bit low, so giving a bit of time away.
Yeah, just has to work a bit harder than he would have liked on that 10 to 11 move. And as you say, we'll get an indication later on as to how much time he would have lost on that move. But he was 16th in Tokyo at the Olympic Games last year, 17th last weekend in the first World Cup of the season in Prague. Oh, now a penalty on the upstream gate 14. So 2 seconds of penalty added on to your time for a touch of the pole with any part of your body, your boat or your paddle, and suddenly the deficit 3.63 and another penalty, 2 more penalties on the bottom.
Yeah, we saw in the women's category with this stagger at the bottom, there was a lot of touches and some runs falling apart a bit, and it's another example of that. He looked so good on the top, but yeah, those touches were costly.
So Adachi of Japan only into 3rd place. And yeah, expensive 6 seconds of penalties on the clock. And it won't be a final, almost certainly, for the Japanese athlete.
Next up, we got Marcello Beda. He was really fast on the spring races here, but hasn't really managed yet on the major races this year to prove his level, I think. So I think he's hungry for more today.
Well, he's certainly capable of more. He's a World Championship silver medalist from the Worlds last year in Bratislava. Very different course, this course, to that course in Bratislava. But one thing you know with the Italians is they're quick.
Definitely.
Very powerful athletes, and of course De Gennaro will go off last in this semi-final as the winner from the heat. And surely you've got to favour him for a place on the podium.
And he's looking good so far, and tight lines, good boat speed, but it still looks like he keeps his composure. Yeah, good.
So he has that early advantage, not a lot to choose, but he's really blowing the boat. If you're not familiar with canoe slalom and what makes a quick run, then it's less about watching what the paddle's doing and the paddler is doing. It's more about watching the boat, isn't it? If the boat is moving forwards, then it's generally a quick time, and he has extended the advantage.
Yeah, and that stagger was really good as well, so if he manages to Oh, is that Paul wobbling now? Yeah.
Gate 17, there is a review going on, but no penalty showing at the moment. And into first place provisionally, 87.58. And already the time's starting to get down towards the mid-80s, as you were suggesting, Eric.
Yeah, we already see some tendencies towards that tight racing here that we usually see in Krakow. And yeah, it's exciting.
Well, 4 boats down in this 40-boat men's kayak semi-final here. We're live from Krakow in Poland. We're determining which 10 boats will race it out in the final later on today. 12 o'clock Central European time. You can follow that live here at Planet Canoe, starting with the women's kayak final and then the men's kayak final, as we watch Finn Butcher, who was 18th last weekend for New Zealand. And well, he was so close last weekend to getting through into the final, but I think penalties was what was costly there.
He was very unlucky in Prague. He broke one of his footrests in gate 3, I think it was, the first upstream, and still managed to put down a top 20 run. That says something about his level. Finn is just one of those guys who handling really well, and he's had some real top results in the qualifying rounds, but hasn't just managed to make it into the finals yet. But I would not be surprised if he could do that today, although he's down on the split so far, but he's also one of those guys who sometimes picks up a lot of time at the bottom, very fit guy.
So into the upstream 17, now we'll get an indication he is 2.2 down, so hasn't managed to close the deficit.
Yeah,
running out of time on the course to find time, but he's good through the downs.
Yeah, it just seems to really need to attack it in Krakow with the water being slow and like need to be on it all the time, and it seems like there's just those tenths of seconds a bit everywhere adding up.
So into 4th place for Finn Butcher of New Zealand, 89.93, and well, first 4 boats clear, and already the first 4 boats only separated by 2.35 seconds. So as we were anticipating, this is going to be down to the tenths, even the hundredths, as to making the difference when it comes down to the top 10.
Yeah, it's really, I'd like to point out there that Tyler Westfall he really managed to put down a good run there. He must be very happy with his first appearance in the semi-final.
Well, yes, it's great opportunity to a lot of learning as well through the World Cups and building towards the World Championships. And I just take a moment to say we've got a brief pause. If you have only just joined us for this men's kayak semi-final, then the breaking news during the women's kayak semi-finals was that the German team have unfortunately had to withdraw from the event because of a second case of COVID within the team. And so that does mean that the German paddlers who were lined up in this men's kayak semi-final will not be competing. That includes Stefan Hengst, and it also includes Noah Hegger, who won't now participate in this men's kayak semi-final. We wish them well, and I guess disappointment, but that is kind of the landscape at the moment with regard to COVID.
Yeah, true. I think all athletes knows by now that these things can happen. Disappointment for them to not be able to race today, but they've definitely got Augsburg as their real goal for this season, the world champs at home. They'll be coming back for that.
So myself, Andy Maddock, bringing you the information as it unfolds here in Krakow, and alongside me, Eric Holmer, Olympic finalist from Tokyo 2021. And just tell me a little bit about those World Championships. How are you preparing for them as they're, 5-6 weeks away now?
Yeah, it's very different. Different athletes have different approach. Some athletes prefers to stay more home and train more building up to it. Other prefers to race more into it and get into the racing mode. For myself, I like to race, so but it's people have different preference there. And here we have Michael Travet. He managed to make both the K1 man and C1 man team in the Spanish team this year, a very competitive team, but some issues here in the downgate, in the touch.
Well, yes, and he's a junior world champion. I think one of the, maybe the first person ever to win the junior world championships in the same year, in both categories, the men's canoe and the men's kayak. But as you say, he's not got off to the best of starts and has a 2.7 deficit as he comes into the middle part of the course.
Yeah, Mikael is one of those, he can really move like a ninja on the water. He's maybe not the strongest of all the guys out there, but he's a genius on the water.
Yes, I was a bit surprised to see David Lorente doing the demonstration runners, and the fact that he didn't make the top Spanish team suggests, well, in some ways that's, I mean, it's unfortunate for David, but it suggests the real growth and depth in the Spanish setup.
Definitely, and they have, as well as Crespo being one of the more experienced and bronze medalist at last year World Champs, they have these younger athletes, a strong field of younger athletes, and Mikael here, without his touch, he would be right up there. He wasn't much wrong in that run, except the mistake in the early on in the 2 downs in the touch. Good pacing.
Yeah, it's a good point, though, isn't it? That touch moves him from what would have been a 2nd place down to 5th place. So significant there. Still, Marcello Beda leading for Italy, 87.58. As we now look at the bronze medalist from last weekend in Prague, Martin Duguid of Switzerland. 13th at the Olympic Games, and as I say, he was on the podium last weekend, so how can he use that to build his momentum into this season?
Yeah, Martin is really one of those guys as well who can be blistering fast sometimes. He won a World Cup home in Po back in 2020, and yeah, he looks in very good shape this year, and he's up on the early split.
6th at the European Championships as well earlier on this year, so consistently starting to produce those final performances, and the next step is targeting the podium. So Peter Kauser taking the win last weekend. He'll be up later on in this men's kayak semi-final. So we watch Martin Duguid. Can he hold on to that early advantage?
Yeah, Martin is also one of those really fit athletes, always good at the bottom section. So if he just can keep it clean, I think, yeah, he's good through here, tight exit.
His boat's really dancing around, isn't it? It looks really light in the water. And 1.68 the advantage. He has found time. 2 gates to go.
Yes, this is a very good run coming together. A review on gate 17. I didn't see anything there. So
no, me neither, and nothing showing at the moment, I might add. But look at that, 85.48. Martin, he knows that's good.
Bravo, Martin, that's a good run.
Well, again, he will have a long wait to see whether that's enough, but he can be pretty confident that he'll be in the mix, if not, you know, maybe just outside, but it's certainly a strong performance.
Definitely.
So the time's really starting to fall already. We're only 7 boats into this 40-boat men's kayak semi-final. As we watch Mateo Desnos of Brazil, now the Pan American champion of 2019. 25th last weekend in Prague. And another paddler who, on his day, could make it through into the final.
Definitely, Mathieu is a very technical paddler. He used to race for France and has the under-23 World Championship bronze medal from 2017. And he's up on the split, and Dogo as well was up on the split, so it's a good time that he's being compared to there. Having to wait a little bit, but still on a good run here.
Yeah, that move from gate 10 to 11 has caught a lot of people out. There's a lot of time that trades hands there.
Definitely, it's a bit tricky on the crossing over the stopper there, but so far seems like most athletes still manage to pull it off nicely. We can see here in the semi-final, however, a touch that could be very costly on a.
Well, he's certainly whipping it round. That 1.96, he did actually still have a fast time, but now another penalty, and it's slipping away on the bottom part of the course. So many runs in the women's kayak semi-final ended that way. You can do all the hard work, but you've got to keep it going through all 23 gates, and only into 7th place. What a start. The bottom part of the course kind of unraveled for the Brazilian.
Yeah, it was a very good run until that point. It's, yeah.
So, still Martin Duguid leading for Switzerland. As next to start, Joe Clark for Great Britain, the Olympic champion from Rio 2016. 31st last weekend in Prague, 4th at the Europeans earlier on this season, and you'd expect him to be very quick over. In fact, I think he's been on the podium in this event, if not won it, at a World Cup in Krakow.
He did win it, 2018. That was a good final with many good runs, but Joe made an absolutely amazing run, and he's just a fraction up on Dugo's early split time here.
Well, good through 10 to 11. We've seen a lot of people just lose a little bit of time there. He used the water well, and now on this big open stretch, they make it look easy, but they're working hard. Every stroke has to count.
Definitely. Yeah, Joe is probably one of the strongest athletes out there. He'll have a lot left in his tank down here, and really nice speed over the stopper cross there. Yeah, we're looking at a very good run here.
Wow, nearly 1.5 seconds the advantage as he comes down towards the bottom end of the course. This is where it's make or break time. Cleanly through that section into the last upstream, super tight, and surely Joe Clark of Great Britain is going to be challenging the race lead time. Just a few strokes away, crosses the line, 1.56 the advantage, 85.92, and into the race lead, ahead of Martin Duguid of Switzerland and Marcello Beda of Italy.
Yeah, we see that Martin Duguid has had a touch added to his time. Otherwise, actually, he would stay in first position. I think this time around 85 seconds is very, very competitive.
Yeah, it was on gate 17. I was slightly confused as well in terms of the benchmark time. Lucien Delfour of Australia. So another competitor from last weekend who you would have expected to make it into the final, who just had problems, I think, on that gate 10 last weekend in Prague. Now coming down on this top section. You can lose the race on the top, you can't win it.
Yeah, Lucien also has experience from multiple World Cup finals here in Krakow. Yeah, like we've been speaking about, it's a course where you need to really attack the gates, and that suits Lucien well, I think, and he's also fast on a straight line. A bit down here on the early split, but it's all to play for.
Not the tidiest run into the upstream gate 11 either. But Lucien, you'll never rule him out. Always one that cuts the lines to the bare minimum.
Yeah, he's definitely attacking the lines a lot, and when it works, he can be blistering fast. And we see a more composed style here compared to some of the others we've been watching. Seems to be his approach today.
Whether that's too conservative, we'll find out. 3 seconds down now on the split.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to pick that up.
Now coming into the final upstream gate, time running out to make up any time for the Oceania champion of 2022. Lucien Delfour for Australia will only stop the clock, 89.36 in 6th place. It is a clean run, but doesn't really find the groove that he probably wanted.
Yeah, we already see quite a few of those runs that there's not much wrong in them, but we're just a bit down on the split. And here we have from Macedonia. It's his first semi-final as well, and I think he was the happiest guy yesterday. I saw him celebrating after, and it's good to see the emotion when smaller nations manages to get through.
Well, there the world ranking says it all as well. So great opportunity here for Angel Petrushev of the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia as he comes down into the downstream gate 5, and hopefully he'll really have the opportunity to race without fear and just leave nothing on the river.
Yeah, looks like he manages to keep his composure well here on the top. He's quite a bit down on Joe, but already to be in this semi-final, I think is huge for him.
Well, it's great to have emerging nations as well. 32 nations racing here in this second World Cup of the ICF World Cup season. And we've had a few races, normally on the outskirts of Skopje in Macedonia.
Yeah, and I think last time we had a major race there, 2014, there was a junior and under 23 European champs there.
Well, he's certainly still a respectable run here. A 2-second penalty on gate 12 showing, and while 7.86 seems a big gap, it is, well, against an Olympic champion, the race leader, Joe Clark of Great Britain.
He holds it together nicely here, even with the small mistakes he's had, and I think he, yeah, quite a bit down, but I think it's a process, and it's his first semi-final. I think he should be happy.
Well done, Angel, into 11th place. And still the top 3, Joseph Clark of Great Britain, ahead of Martin Duguid of Switzerland, Marcello Beda of Italy.
Next up, Dimitri Marx from Switzerland. Didn't manage to make it into the very competitive senior team this year in Switzerland, but he got some World Cups, and yeah, let's see what he can do. He can be blistering fast sometimes, another very powerful paddler, and in the top section here, there's not much wrong.
Yes, and he's starting to make a name in the extreme kayak.
Definitely, he's amazing to watch in the extreme. In Prague last weekend, I don't remember the margin, but he was absolutely on a different level than anyone else.
So yeah, he was, you're right, he was the winner of the time trial, wasn't he, in the Prague, which is a good indication of someone who's very strong, very powerful. And I think he progressed into the semi-finals in the head-to-head competition before being eliminated. So that you can obviously follow live. That's tomorrow, Sunday, 4:30 Central European time. But now the action is all on here, and he's very much in touch.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he's on a very good run here. He's in touch with the top times, and yeah, this was good and clean as well. So yeah, he's putting down a really good run here. Just getting caught in the last upstream. Come on, push to the finish.
Well, 85.92 is the time to beat. He's outside of that, but into 5th place for Dimitri Marx of Switzerland. And, well, a good, strong, clean run. Possibly not enough for a place in the final, but it's that could well make it through in a team's result.
Definitely. Until the last upstream where he was well in contention, I think, but just lost a bit too much. Now we have Mial Pasuit, World Cup medalist from 2019, and he will definitely be one to watch here today. Home paddler, and he can be amazing on the water here, definitely.
Yes, he's very experienced and multi-finalist. So semi-finals like this, you kind of learn a few of the tactics. How do you kind of learn from each competition to take the experience away and help you in the next?
Sorry?
How do you learn around your tactical side of the sport, you know, in terms of you make your first semi-final and you learn from that, but then how do you kind of take the steps towards being a semi-finalist into actually challenging for the final?
I wish I knew, but well, the more races you get in there, the more you're gonna learn from it, and having right people around you to help you, and Well, Mial is definitely putting down a good run here, well in contention with Joe Clark. Yeah.
So he's dropped a bit of time on the second split, but it's no big drama at the moment. But he can't afford to let that deficit grow any bigger as he comes into the last of the 6 red and white upstream gates here. One more gate to go, and now Michał Pasiut of Poland crosses the line, 87.77 into 4th place. So still there is the leaderboard. Joe Clark leading for Great Britain ahead of Martin Duguid of Switzerland, Marcello Beda of Italy. That's the top 3 at the moment, as we are now, well, that's 14 boats down in this 40-boat men's kayak semi-final.
Next up, Benjamin Pope. He had to go through second qualifying run last weekend in Prague and put down a really fast run there and showed the speed that he has. And obviously he's in the semi today as well, so let's see what he can do.
Well, it's pretty much, there's no margin. You've just got to give it your all, haven't you? You can't leave anything on the top.
Yes, I think we see a good example of her here. Quite a bit down of the first split. But a very nice cross here, carrying loads of speed over the stopper and really attacking the gate.
Well, looking at the leaderboard at the moment, with 14 boats down the course, the top 9 are clean except Martin Duguid. He's the only person inside that top 9 who has picked up a penalty, and that was just a one touch. So clean in terms of penalties is going to be key here. 1.3 down. It's quite a big margin, but the important thing is here, it has grown. The deficit has grown.
It's not much wrong out there. He's putting together a nice run, but another of those runs where there's just a little bit of time everywhere slipping off, but he keeps attacking the gate, and it's
Well, he crosses the line, 88.72. Respectable run, as you say, Eric, and into 6th place. So Australia, that's the top performer at the moment, sitting in the 6th place. Clark leading ahead of Duguid and Beda at the moment. Well, here is a competitor who could well challenge for a place in the final. He was in the final last weekend, finished 10th place. It is Pedro Goncalves of Brazil, better known as Pepe, setting off on course.
Yes, he seems to be on very good form at the moment. He was also in the final at the World Champs at the end of last season, so he let's see what he can do. He's definitely running his boat faster at the top, a little bit of a mistake there in the downs, but good boat speed here.
Yeah, well, in touch with the race lead time set by Joe Clark of Great Britain, just 6/100ths of a second down, and that's a great line from 10 to 11. Sixth at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games, and 10th last year, so a World Championship finalist as well in Bratislava. So no stranger to the kind of pressure that you have to experience and trying to get the tactics right to make it into the final.
Yeah, Pepe is one of the athletes who is also very competitive in the extreme category. Did he just clip the upstream there? Yes.
Suddenly it goes from being kind of challenging for a place in the final to in trouble. There's quite a few reviews going on. No other penalties showing at the moment, but there's clearly some checking.
That touch might have proved very costly there, but yeah, we also see that some raw time dropped here at the bottom.
So only 8th place for Pepe Goncalves, and unlikely to progress into the final. But one thing's for sure, he's making a name for himself in the extreme kayak, so we'll see him in action, I'm sure, tomorrow. And that's 4:30 Central European time tomorrow. You'll see the head-to-head racing in the extreme kayak. But here's a name who's very fast on his day. Martin Halsin of Slovakia.
Yeah, Martin impressed us all by making the team this year. He had a surgery, a shoulder, I believe it was, not long ago, and he only just came back on the wild water very shortly before the Slovak selections, but still managed to make the team. And he also has experience from finals here before.
I believe he picked up a medal here in 2015, and he's 10 World Cup finals to his name, so a bit of experience, but really having to fight hard to get into gate 11.
Yeah, getting stuck in the hole there, losing a lot of time. Otherwise, it's looking really good so far, but that was a lot of time there.
In touch at the top, but we know there will be a little bit more of a deficit as he comes towards the second split. It is all about just trying to find the little margins when there's not that much of a technical element to the course.
Yeah, definitely. And he has probably been here a lot. I believe he lives and trains in Liptovsky Mikuláš, which is just over the mountains from here, so he probably feels at home here quite well.
4 seconds. He's really, again, done not a lot wrong, but the time has slipped away. And Martin Halsin of Slovakia sneaks into the last gate, but more time slipping away, and only into 12th place. So disappointment for Martin Halsin.
Definitely, that last gate was very painful to watch. That's not how you want your run to finish. But really good to see him paddle so well, so short after his surgery, and I believe already later this season we'll see him put down some really good runs.
So next to start, it is Manuel Ochoa of Spain.
Yes, first year in the senior team in Spain, and he was absolutely flying on the Spanish selections, paddling really well. He has been paddling really well for a long time, one of those names who's been a bit in the shadow, but not quite managed to do it on the races, but let's see what he can do today.
Made the semi-final stages of the Under-23 World and European Championships in 2021, and he's up on the top split.
Yeah, he's definitely not. Oh!
So he gives it a bit too much upstream edge from 10 to 11, and you can see just how far he went down the eddy line. And all that hard work at the top, undone on gate 11.
Yeah, a bit late on the line. They're not managing to set it up quite enough before the stopper, and yeah, paying the price for it.
So how would you describe the characteristic of this white water course compared to Prague that we were racing on last weekend?
Yeah, there's not, in Prague there's endless of features, waves and stopper that you can use and set moves around. We see less of that here in Krakow, and slower water as well, more physical I'd say. But still some similarities. You definitely need to attack the course both here and in Prague. And, yeah.
Yes, and will we see you racing in Tartzen next weekend, the World Cup 3?
Yeah. I'll be there along most of these guys.
So into 14th place for Manuel Ochoa of Spain. And well, such a good start, but then it's all about delivering all through the gates, 23 gates down the course, and it wasn't to be. But again, valuable experience for the young Spanish athlete. Now here's a name that I would anticipate making the final. Just missed out last weekend in 11th place, Felix Oschmalz of Austria, and he is very fast on a course like this.
Definitely, Felix is an amazing paddler. He's been really fast for a long time, but last season and this season he's just found a consistency that maybe wasn't quite there before, and he's definitely up there among the top 5 or 3 paddlers.
He took 2 medals in the World Cup last season and was 4th at the Olympic Games, so had a great season in 2021, but 1.1 down on the split. Something needs to change on the bottom half.
Yeah, nothing wrong. I think he looks very composed. He might have just started off a bit less aggressive, and that's what we see in the time, but hopefully he can make up for it here on the middle and bottom section.
Well, he makes it look effortless and very smooth into 17.
Very smooth, but I believe he, clipped gate 16 there. But,
Okay, good spot. Yeah, I didn't see that. You're right. He has been given a touch on 16. There is a review on 14, but no penalty showing at the moment.
yeah. It just shows how small the margins are. Felix has an amazing speed in the boat, but some small mistake, and now he's into 9th place.
So, yeah, 9th place and unlikely to progress through into the final. Remember, 40 boats racing in this men's kayak semi-final and only 10 places in that final. That final will follow the women's kayak final, which starts at 12 o'clock Central European time. So next up, it's Joshua Joseph of the United States of America. Already we saw Tyler Westfall set a good performance, and in his first semi-final, sitting in 8th place still. What can the next paddler from the United States do? Well, he's certainly attacking the course.
Definitely, he has a very aggressive style on the water, and sometimes it really pays off. We saw a very straight line here between the downs, and I believe he might have made up some time there even.
Well, in touch on the top split. Now, this is the critical move, 10 into 11, and again, rejected off the hole. And look how low. You can count the strokes as he comes up through 11, and that'll be 2-3 seconds dropped on that move alone. And unfortunately, all the hard work on the top undone in the middle.
Yeah, he was just a bit late on the line there, same like we saw Manu from Spain, and getting rejected from the hole. But he keeps going for it, and it's good to see.
Yes, indeed. Now, this is this other technical move, using the hole 16 to 17. A little bit buried, but gets tight into the upstream.
Considering how much time he lost up in the middle section, that split is impressive, I would say. It was a lot of time he lost up there.
Yes, he's not put the mistake, he's not kind of made it ruin his run. He's absolutely continued to deliver. So coming through to the finish line, it is Joshua Joseph of the United States of America into 15th place. There is a review still ongoing on gate 20. And just an update to say that Felix Oschmaus of Austria just got an extra penalty added to his time and dropped him into 12th place.
Next up we got Boris Neveu, probably one of the most experienced kayakers out there. Just watching his record results is amazing. I don't know if he missed the French team at any year for the last 15 years.
Well, he's a two-time world champion, and I think critically for me, he certainly last season was Mr. Consistent and has carried that through. He had 5 finals in 7 races in the 2021 season.
Definitely, and he's putting down an amazing top section here. He's still down on the split, but great boat speed. Getting a bit held in the hole here, but managed to make his way out of there without it being fatally costly.
And he missed the final last weekend, but only just 13th place, so he's really on the pace on a very tight race. And Boris, well, now really having to find some time that isn't really there. There's not a lot of time, but you could lose time on this course, but there's very few places where you can really make a big chunk of time up.
Yeah, we see it's dropped quite a bit behind here now. Not that bad. In Prague last weekend, he actually arrived the day before the race, I believe, and still showed some amazing paddling. He's just has so much experience, and even with his mistakes here in the middle section, he managed to get back on track, and that could be, well in contention for final.
So into second place for Boris Neveu of France, and down the bottom section you could see he was very direct through the difficult offset sequence, 19, 20, 21, and well, that goes into second place. And that's now a confirmed clean run. So Joe Clark leading the way for Great Britain ahead of Boris Neveu of France and Martin Duguid of Switzerland, as we now are at the halfway point in this men's kayak semi-final. And Jakub Brzezinski of Poland now sets off, who made the final last weekend in Prague and is absolutely throwing the boat around.
Yeah, he wants it. You can see it. I believe it's his first time in the senior team as well, and so far this season he's been paddling amazing. He was in the final in Prague, putting down the fastest time in the semi, actually exactly same time like Krieger, I believe he was. And well, he's a bit down on the split here, but we'll see how much the local knowledge can play in here.
Well, that was a good move, wasn't it? Didn't give anything away from 10 to 11.
Definitely, great boat speed, and he's super fit. You can see him hammering it down here. He wants it, and you can hear the crowd as well cheering him on.
Well, this is exciting because he is really attacking the course. He's leaving nothing out there. Polish already have a paddler in the women's kayak final. In fact, they had the fastest paddler in the women's kayak semi-final. Klaudia Zwolinska and Jakub Brzezinski make it back-to-back finals here in Krakow. Well, 2.39 down. You can't afford for that to grow anymore.
No, you're right, and he looks really tired now, but can he just hold it together? He would just a bit behind.
Time just slipping away at the bottom of the course. 89.67. The gap increased on that bottom section and outside of the final for the young Polish paddler Jakub Brzezinski. And it's not to be a final today, but still, well, it just shows, doesn't it? The didn't really do a lot wrong again, but the wrong side of the touches, well, not touches, the time, and you slip out of the final zone.
Yeah, definitely. We already see a lot of clean and fast runs in top 12. We only have one run with a touch where Martin Duguid holding on to third place, and yeah, I think the remaining guys up there warming up, we know that they need to put down a good run if they want to get into that final.
Yes, I'm sure there'll be a lot of the competitors still to come. Just keeping half an eye on the scoreboard, just knowing what the kind of risks they would need to take just to get the tactics right. So we just have a momentary gap in the schedule, and that is, again, unfortunately, if you missed it before, because the German team have withdrawn from the event due to a COVID outbreak, a second COVID outbreak amongst the athletes. So that's unfortunate for the German team and for this competition, because there were some big names that we were looking forward to seeing racing. But the lead point just over halfway in this men's kayak semi-finals here in Krakow in Poland. Joe Clark leading for Great Britain ahead of Boris Neveu of France and Martin Duguid of Switzerland. Some big names there. The Olympic champion Joe Clark leading. Boris Neveu, two-time world champion, in second place. And Martin Duguid, fresh from winning a medal last weekend in Prague at the first World Cup of the season, following it up with a strong performance. And of course, that's actually the fastest raw time we've seen down the course so far, because that's the only one in the top 10 that includes a penalty.
Yeah, we saw some quite fast run fairly early on in this semi-final, and now it seems there's been a lot of mistakes out there, small mistakes adding up, and we'll see how the rest of the semi-final evolves.
Well, of course, the athletes race in reverse order of the heats performance, so still the fastest boats from the heats are still to come. So next up, well, another world champion, Ondřej Tunka of the Czech Republic on course. 31-year-old who is another paddler you'd say is super consistent. I think he's had 15 World Cup finals in his career, and generally very consistent. He did actually miss out on the final last weekend on his home course, only 22nd in Prague.
Yeah, that was a surprise, but he's definitely attacking it today. Tiny bit down here, but well job there to get into the upstream, and Yeah, Andre had a few years out of the team. It's extremely competitive, the Czech team, but he's back and he looks really good on the water. So,
oh, well, that's super brave on gate 14, and he's made that work for him. So he was slightly down on the race leader Clark of Great Britain on the top split. When he comes out of 17, we'll get an indication of the second split. And still in touch, just down, but he has made up some of that deficit. Ondrej Tunka of the Czech Republic, very tidy through the downs and surely challenging for the race lead.
Definitely a very good run coming together here. A little bit heavier, but this should be well in contention to get into that final.
Outside of the race lead time, but into second place for Ondrej Tunka of the Czech Republic, 86.51. And, well, do you think that'll be enough?
I think so, yeah. We've already seen many of the top athletes go down the course, and I think that time around the 85 there is very competitive, and Ondrej being on mid 86, I think that will put him in there for sure.
Well, we've still got quite a few competitors to go, but looking in a good position as we watch Galindo Chiarello of Switzerland now coming down on his semi-final performance, under 23 European Championship finalist.
Yeah, Galindo is another of those athletes he's been good for a long time, but definitely stepping it up another level this year. Last weekend in Prague, he was on a very good run in the semi-final until a big mistake in the middle section, and yeah, he's not bad so far, just half a second down.
Yeah, half a second is nothing on the top section. In touch now, he's got to dig in. This is where this sprint here, timing of the strokes across the waves, keeping the boat running as much as possible. Now, Tunka was very good on the upstream 14.
Yeah, it looks like he's not doing much wrong out there, but might have just lost that. That was very good wrong. Tide exit, and still fairly well in touch here.
1.87 seconds, well, that's in the region of a top 5 at the moment. If he can just hold on to that and not slip any more time away on the bottom part of the course. It's good in 22. Now he's just got to get the line, sneaks through 23, and crosses the line, 88.32 into 8th place. Wow, that just shows the margins. Again, no real errors on that run, but those are the differences between top and 8th place. Clark still leading for Great Britain ahead of Tunka of the Czech Republic and Neveu of France. And of course, when we get down to the last 10 to go, we'll start to confirm who has qualified through into this afternoon's final. As we now watch Xin Quan of the People's Republic of China.
Yeah, Xin Quan is probably also one of the most fit athletes out there. He can definitely hammer around a run down there. So if he just stays online, he could definitely have a speed to do something very good here.
Yes, and I seem to remember last weekend he was very strong in the semi-final in Prague, but made a big mistake and ended up finishing 39.
Oh, beautiful. Ah!
Almost too fast into the upstream 11.
Yeah, he got a bit held by the eddy line there and had to wait for the upstream a bit, but he recovered well from it, and we'll see how he does here.
So now coming down into the middle part of the course through 15, 16. This is the bit, drop into the hole, but you've got to get the boat running. And, well, it's not the fastest, but it's still pretty tidy, and that gate 17 is good.
Yeah, and he's well in touch here, actually. I don't remember the last time we saw China in a final at a major event. So maybe this could be his day. There's the review going, and he's giving away a little bit of time, but
into 9th place, and you're right, Eric, it was on a really good time. It just slipped away at the bottom. No penalties showing. There was a review on gate 20, but no penalty awarded. But down in 9th place, and even the last couple of gates, there's a lot of time to be had, and you can give away all the hard work that you've been putting in up at the top of the course. So Clark still leading ahead of Tunka and Nouveau. As next up, it is Titouan Castric of France, the junior world champion of 2021.
Yeah, and if I've understood it right, he's still a junior. Yeah, age 17 we see here in the on the screen. And we just see this happen quite often in the French team. Some really young guy coming through and putting down amazing paddling. Let's see if the speed is definitely there. Let's see if he can keep it together. A lot of pressure coming into a big team like that. Up on the split, we haven't seen that for some time now. And dropping a bit low here, but recovering all right.
Well, yes, up on the split is quite significant. Now we'll have to wait and see. With French have already got 3 boats into the women's kayak final. Boris Nouveau currently sitting in 3rd place. So still the opportunity to get into this men's kayak final.
Yeah, I believe we have all the 3 French K1 women in the final, if I'm not mistaken. And so far, Boris is looking very good, and Titouan is doing a very good run here. So the French team looks strong today. And he's done this stagger beautiful, running the boat really well around those tight gates. And last upstream, and this is a very good run.
Sensational stuff here from the young Frenchman. He isn't going to take the race lead, but only just outside into 2nd place. Congratulations, Titouan Castric of France. Surely that's going to be good enough for a place in the final. It certainly deserves a place in the final for the 17-year-old.
No question about it, he'll be there. That was a very, very good run. We've seen many of them, mind you, maybe not only physical paddlers in the top, but many strong paddlers in the top. And the 17-year-old smaller guy coming through and putting down a run like that, really cool to watch.
Well, speaking of cool to watch, here's Peter Kauser of Slovenia, the winner of last weekend's competition, the first World Cup of the 2022 season. And, well, you'd never rule Peter out. He's an Olympic silver medalist. He's multiple World Cup champion, European champion, and World Cup winner.
Definitely, and he's up on the split. Kauser is just you can't emphasize enough how amazing his paddling is. And although I think this is not his favorite course, he has also experience from medaling here at World Cups before, and he's just good everywhere.
When you say that, you're right, because in the World Cup last season, across the 4-race season, he made all of the finals, and super consistent. Obviously, he made the final last weekend. He won the race. The first job here is to get into the final.
Yeah, really nice crossover with stopper there. It's a bit of his signature move with stoppers. I think he's so good at using the water, and he's so composed here and really in touch. Yeah,
So 7/100ths of a second separate him at the second split from Joe Clark, the race leader of Great Britain. Now it comes through the line and inside by 0.62 of a second. Peter Kauser goes into the race lead for Slovenia. And, well, that was vintage Kauser, wasn't it? He was in control, but he absolutely was commanding down the course.
Definitely. And here we see another of those real top paddlers with Prindis. Was absolutely dominating the World Cups for a few years here. This year we haven't quite seen his best paddling yet, I think, but maybe today will be the day.
Yeah, I think you're right. We didn't see, it was a big surprise last week when he didn't make it through into the final. It was only 14. And Vitz, a World Championship medalist. Yeah, he's won the World Cup overall on 2 occasions. And how he cuts the line, 5 to 6.
Yeah, he did well to recover from that. He was very late for the gate, but Yeah.
Well, my heart missed a beat there, and I'm sure his did as he was coming down. 0.93 the deficit. Well, that's certainly not a drama at this stage of the run.
Yeah, and we saw Kauser was up on the first split as well, so we know that that split is very competitive compared to the rest of the field as well.
Nice on 14. Certainly takes a tight line, doesn't take it too high risk. Now this is the critical move, 16. A drop in the hole, but you've got to accelerate towards 17.
Yeah.
And it's nicely done, but the time is slipping away. The deficit has grown a little bit, 1.34, but very nice through the downs.
Yeah, very nice.
So Prindish of the Czech Republic, two-time World Cup Series winner, now sprinting to the finish. It's going to be outside the lead time into 8th place, 87.72. And, well, we've only, I think it's 12 boats still to go in this competition, but surely Witt is really in the danger zone now.
Definitely, I think he looks like he could be just outside today. And, yeah, those small margins, again, it was some really good paddling there, but tight racing.
It's now on course. Zino Ivaldi for Italy. World Championship silver medalist at under 23 level, and you know that he will be quick. He'll leave nothing on the river. The Italian kayaks, that's their style, really.
Yeah, I don't know how many medals he has from junior and under 23 races. He was really, yeah, he has a lot of experience from that. But now he's been a few years out of the Italian senior team. But he's up on the split. Wow, but getting really held in the stopper here. A lot of time lost in there. Let's see how he can recover from that and reflect in the next split how he's going.
Well, the 0.25 at the top was very good, very commanding over current race leader Kauser of Slovenia. That top three, Kauser, Slovenia, Clark, Great Britain, Kastrick of France, looking pretty comfortable to progress through into the final, but we can't predict anything yet because tight racing is what we're seeing here, and he has dropped time, and it was on that move 10 to 11.
It was. I think this split is quite something special because there was a lot of time in that stopper in the middle section. He's really... did he touch that upstream or was it water?
It is confirmed as a touch, so we'll have to wait and see. Zeno Ivaldi of Italy looks like picked up a penalty at the end, and only 19. So Peter Kauser still leads for Slovenia as we have 11 boats to go in this men's kayak semi-final here. We're live in Krakow in Poland and finalising who is going to be racing in this men's kayak final. We've already seen the women's kayak semi-final take place. We know the 10 boats who will race in that final at 12 o'clock Central European time. You can follow it live here at Planet Canoe as we watch the third of our French paddlers, Marlo Kemeneur, 16th last weekend in Prague. He was a junior world championship medalist and a finalist at junior and under 23 Europeans, so hence the smooth, silky on the top of the course.
And we see this very nice French style of paddling, very, very nice to watch. And he's half a second up on Peter, but it's a very good split. Let's see if he can keep it together. Marlo has a lot of experience from racing junior and under 23 races here in Krakow, so he's no stranger to the course. So far he's, yeah, like you said yourself, in Prague he was very competitive, and he was also in the final, I believe, at the European Champs in Liptovsky earlier on this year. A bit late here over to the down, but recovering well from that.
Well, he had the advantage on the first split. It looks like he's held on to his pace, so we will get an indication as he comes out of this upstream, gate 17, just outside, 0.57. Well, that's no big drama, but there's still time to be won and lost on the bottom part of the course. So Marlo Kemeneur of France now into the final upstream, and almost, well, he is too tight. Doesn't quite manage to hold on to the stroke. And we'll lose a little bit of time there. How much time is lost? And into 9th place, 87.76. And we can just see how much time is trading hands. But, well, that means that Peter Kauser of Slovenia is our first confirmed qualifier in this competition. Men's kayak finalist, there he is, wearing bib number 2. The winner of last weekend will be in the final this weekend.
Jakub Grieger next up, another of those legends out there. I lost count of how many major titles and medals he has won, and also here in Krakow he was under 23 world champion here 2016, and he's good on the top.
Yes, and he's a 2-time Olympic finalist, 5th and 6th, I think is his best. I think it was 5th in Rio was his best games result, but yeah, Kuba Grieger, you just never rule him out.
Yeah, and vice Olympic champion from Tokyo last year, silver medal there, so he definitely no stranger to the pressure. Good first split, and he was good on the stopper move here in the middle section as well, so he looks composed and he's putting down a good run so far.
Well, this is now the critical section, so in touch with a place in the final on the top section, but this is where it all can either get you further ahead or it can all start to slip away. And look at that, 2.43, and hard to see where he's lost that time.
Yeah, it was a little bit on that stopper move in the middle there, and maybe he's not quite attacking it like some of the other guys, but
he is good on the bottom though. That looked like a good upstream gate 22. Can he just limit some of the damage as he crosses the line? And, well, no, the damage has got bigger. 12th place, and there's a surprise. Jakub Grieger will not be in the final for Slovakia, only into 12th place. So Joe Clark of Great Britain currently sitting in 2nd place. Well done, Joe. You are in the final alongside Peter Kauser, with 8 boats still to go in this men's kayak semi-final. And next to start, Mario Leitner of Austria.
yeah, Mario is really on shape this year. He was in the final in Prague last weekend. I believe it was his first World Cup final. He was in the final at the European Champs as well earlier on this spring. And yeah, surely he's looking for a 3rd final here.
And he was 7th last weekend, so not just in the final, but he was moving up the order, and he's looking really fluid, really smooth on the top section of the course.
Definitely. Mario is one of those guys out there, a little bit late here and a bit down on the split, but he's recovering well from that.
Nice move, 10 to 11 though. That was on the edge, but it worked for him.
Definitely.
So now through this fairly flat section of the course, and but no rest for the athletes because they've just got to work hard and get on the gas.
Definitely, but I remember watching Mario at some races just making up for impossible times at the bottom part of courses. He's definitely fit enough to do that. Dropping a little bit low, a bit awkward around the pole, and we see it reflected on the time a bit, but still holding it together nicely. Oh, was that a touch there? It looks like.
Yeah, it's confirmed on the downstream gate 20, and not the tidiest of moves on the exit of 22. Mario Leitner of Austria is going to be outside of the place in the final on this occasion, just 23rd on this event, so he's not going to make it back-to-back finals. But, well, the headline there, the junior world champion, still junior, 17-year-old Titouan Castrik of France. Well done, you're in the final.
Definitely.
Well, at the moment, Kauser, Clark and Castrik confirmed as our finalists. 7 boats still to go in this men's kayak semi-final. The likes of Andrzej Tunka, Boris Neveu sitting, waiting to see if they've done enough as we watch Poland's Dariusz Popiela on course. And Dariusz, well, you know that he's going to give it his all.
Definitely. Dariusz always gives it his all, attacking the course 100%. And yeah, I'm sure he, for the home crowd here, would love to get into that final. Darius has been out there for a really long time in the elite in the world and has so much experience, and we see very competitive top split here.
Yeah, and he's got 3 World Cup medals to his name, but that mistake on 10 to 11 will be costly indeed. It's so hard once you've made a mistake to make up any time on this course. There's just not enough of the technical elements on the course.
Yeah, we saw some fitness coming into play there. There was a very strong sprint on the flat section.
Well, let's see what he can do on this move through 16. You've got to keep the boat running out of the hole into 17. He falls onto the blade, and that's not helping, and the penalty certainly isn't helping.
Yeah, it's just falling apart a bit here.
So at the moment, Michał Pasiut is sitting in 10th place for Poland. That's the highest Polish placing. And I think it looks like Darius is going to be outside of that 10th place. As further reviews on gate 19 and 21, and only into 25th place for Darius Popiela of Poland. And well, that means that Ondřej Tunka of the Czech Republic, well done, you're in the final.
Next up, Chris Bowers, youngest member in the British K1 man team. Looked really good in the qualification round here. Let's see what he can do.
So he gets his semi-final run underway now here into the first of these 6 upstream gates. Peter Kauser leading the way, 85.30 ahead of Joe Clark and Titouan Kastrik. And now we're into the sharp end, as you were saying, Eric. These are the top performers from the heats, and Chris Bowers looking good. Wow, 0.78 he's found at the top, looking very good.
Yeah, he looks amazing so far. Super strong, but also managing to stay perfectly on line. I think this course suits the British well. They are all really strong, and obviously we saw both Chris and his compatriot Bradley performing really well first round of qualification, and Joe Clark is already in the final. So if Chris can just hold it together here, he's on a very good run so far.
So he won a medal at the Under-23 World Championships and the European Under-23 Championships last season, so had a good season, and now really starting to transition. He's got the pace, now he's just got to get some consistency. And wow, 1.27 up. Chris Bowers is on the charge for Great Britain, but he's just cancelled that out. It's not all over, but he's got to stay focused into these last 2 gates.
Yeah, it's fast enough, but he could maybe...
So he crosses the line and into 5th place. So 5th place is good enough for a place in the final, although there is still an asterisk on his name. But Chris Bowers, well, the only person so far into the final with a penalty, and just waiting to see. But well done, Chris. He's certainly got the pace, and that touch on gate 19. There was a review going on, that's still underway, but Peter Kauser leading ahead of Joe Clark and Titouan Kastrik. They're into the final along with Ondřej Tunka and provisionally Christopher Bowers. As next up, it is Timothy Anderson of Australia on course.
Yeah, Tim has been paddling, showing some very good paddling as well so far this season. He can be blistering fast sometimes, and he's definitely taking it on here early on in the semi-final.
21st in Prague last weekend. Got a bronze medal at the Oceania Championships earlier on this season. And coming down now, this is the critical move, 10 to 11. Nicely done, really getting the, well, just working in harmony with the white water.
Definitely carrying a lot of boat speed there, and
so now comes into 14. We know he will, well, that's probably not the line he wanted. He went in a bit early, didn't he?
Yeah, he had to wait for the upstream there a little bit, giving away a fraction of time, and again here having to adapt his line a bit. Also getting a little bit held in the stopper. Let's see how he's dropped quite a bit on the split, but if he could put down some good last gates here, he could still be in the mix.
You're right, he's holding it together at the bottom, but I don't think he's setting the pace that he needs.
And just clipping the last upstream on the exit.
It's all over. That touch just suddenly puts it right out of reach into 24th place for Tim Anderson of Australia. So that means we will have Martin Duguid of the... So there's a change in the leaderboard. It looks like the review on Christopher Bowers has given a 50-second penalty. So Christopher Bowers, it was a provisional result. I didn't see that one, but it does mean that Boris Neveu and Martin Duguid are now confirmed as qualifiers. With 4 to go, and on course it is the Olympic champion from Tokyo, Yuri Priskovich of the Czech Republic. 4th last weekend in Prague on his home water, and you surely would expect him to progress through into the final.
Definitely, just as we were thinking that there's just no stopping this man, he actually did miss out on the podium last weekend, but surely he will not allow that to happen again this weekend, and he's up on the early split.
Certainly is, and quite often at this stage in the competition he'd be paddling a little bit within himself just to make sure that he's not taking any unnecessary risks.
You're right, but you can still see here that he's still going for it, and I think on a course like this, even Yuri can't just cruise down the course. Still needs to do the job.
Absolutely, I think he would only do it in the last sprint to the last finish line or whatever, the last gate. Whips it round, and 1.81 the advantage. He has found time in the middle section. That's the time. We know it's there. Christopher Bowers found time on the race leader Kauza of Slovenia, but he wasn't able to do it across the whole run of the course. And Priskovich, surely this is a very fast time. Cruises across the line, 83.93, and he says, I'm back.
Yeah, I was wondering if we would see some time down there around 83, and there we have it.
So well done. There is our next confirmed finalist and current race leader. Yuri Priskovich of the Czech Republic goes ahead of Peter Kauza of Slovenia and Joe Clark of Great Britain. That's our top 3. Also, Kastrik, Tunka, Neveu and Duguid confirmed into the final. Bradley Forbes Cryans of Great Britain now gets off to the start. The Flying Scotsman sets off on his charge to a place in the final.
Yeah, you can tell that he also really wants this here. He's definitely attacking it from the start, and very fast here, cutting the lines.
Yeah, that down in the eddy just was silky smooth, didn't lose any speed at all. So now through 9, now next is the critical move, 10 to 11. He's up on the split. Can he nail this move into the upstream 11?
Not 100%, but he still did a very good job there, and he's putting down a good run here. Bradley looked really good in yesterday's qualification round, and yeah, showing some really nice paddling here as well.
So through 14, he was 6th at the Tokyo Olympic Games. He's 4th at the World Championships in 2019. And we'll get an indication on the exit of 17 that catches the edge. Just how he compares, remember, to that's the split time of Priskovich, but a lot of time lost on that section 16 to 17. 4 seconds down now. He's up against it now for a place in the final, but it's going to be close. It's going to be either side of 10th place.
Yeah, it looks like he's just giving away a little bit more time here as well. But
so stops the clock, 89.46 and 19th place. The time slips away at the bottom. It is a clean run showing at the moment, but that means that Marcello Beda, the silver medalist from the World Championships last year, goes into the final for Italy.
Yeah, Marcello went really early on in this semi-final, and like we were saying then, that there was some good runs early on coming together already. Now he's confirmed for the final.
2 boats still to go in this men's kayak semi-final here. We're live in Krakow in Poland. Martin Srabotnik of Slovenia now on course, and Vit Brindis of the Czech Republic sitting in the next position, waiting to see if he's done enough for a place in the final. And there's a big time loss. I heard that big intake of breath there, Eric.
Yeah, some huge struggle there early on. It happens sometimes for Martin. Martin is one of those guys who has been paddling super fast for many years already, but just doesn't quite seem to put down the run he would like to at big races.
He's a world, a junior world, under-23 world, senior world finalist. But yes, you're right, it's that step from being consistent finalist to making to the podium is the challenge there. Living in the shadow of Peter Kauser as kind of Mr. Consistent at the age of 38.
Yeah.
Well, here on the split, 6.7 seconds down. There's very little way back for Martin, I think, from there. But Vit Brindis from the Czech Republic looking like he will get his first final of the World Cup season.
Yeah, some revenge for the Czech team after last weekend's disappointment to only, but speaking about the Czech team, we can say only just one athlete in the final. Today we have 3 of them.
So 29th place for Martin Srabotnik, unfortunately for Slovenia. But yes, well done, Vit Brindis for the Czech Republic. You are into the final. Of course, the World Cup overall series winner. So good to see him in the final of 2021. 1 boat still to go. And the fastest boat from the heats yesterday, it is Giovanni De Gennaro of Italy on course, and super strong paddler.
Definitely, Giovanni for some time now has been one to watch. Last year he was one of the absolutely best kayakers out there, and also this year he made a medal, silver medal at the Europeans early on this spring,
and he was on the podium with silver last weekend in Prague, so he got his World Cup season off to a good start. But there's a penalty on gate 9, just trying to sneak under it too much.
Yeah, now he's up to quite the challenge. Almost a second down on the first split and the touch. Let's see if he maybe takes some risks to make up for that.
Well, let's just capture a headline here as well, because France have 3 women's kayak in the final, and they have already 2 men's kayak in the final. And for the final place, it's Marlo Kemener, effectively against on-course Giovanni De Gennaro. So the time that Giovanni has to beat to make it into the final is 87.76 seconds.
It's gonna be hard from this position now, and he's having to wait a little bit for the gates there in the stagger.
So 87.76 is the time to beat to make it into the final. He's going to be outside of that, and well, a big shot. 20th place for Giovanni De Gennaro of Italy, the silver medalist from last weekend in Prague, and surely one of the favourites for a place in the final today. And that means 3 French athletes in this men's kayak final. The whole French team, 100% record so far.
Yeah, very good morning for them, both in the women's and men's category. Let's see how they get on in the final. We also have 3 Czechs, Peter Kauser obviously, and Joe Clark, big names in there. It makes for a good final this afternoon.
Yeah, and you better follow that live, following on from the women's kayak final. 12 o'clock Central European time today. So Jiri Priskovic fastest in this men's kayak semi-final for the Czech Republic, ahead of Peter Kauser of Slovenia, Joe Clark of Great Britain. Well, that concludes the men's kayak semi-final, and here are our 10 finalists. 3 Czech boats, 3 French boats, but it is Jiri Priskovic, the Olympic champion, who will go off last in that men's kayak final. That follows on from the women's kayak final, 12 o'clock Central European time today. And here are the results from the semi-final. Some big names missing out. Giovanni De Gennaro there, the fastest in the heats, missing out. And Felix Oschmalz of Austria, again another favourite you would have had for the final. Chris Bowers, Great Britain there, quick time, but 50 seconds of penalties. And of course the German team having to withdraw from the competition because of COVID. So that wraps up the action here for the semi-finals part of the competition. And a big thank you for joining us. We'll see you in half an hour for the women's kayak final. Thank you, Eric, for joining me in the booth. And from me, Adi Maddock, bye for now.
Thank you.